Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is Marco Bazzani as always from the Iure Sanguinis Firm&Partners from Italy, an Italian immigration law firm with expertise on Italian dual citizenship applications. So today we want to share with you some really helpful and very important information, because in the last video, one of the last video that we published, we talk about the roadblocks for Italian citizenship by descent, and the fact there is a new court ruling, a new decision made by the Court of Cassazione who make a really big issue, who raise some issues about the process of Italian citizenship by descent. But today I want to share with you a good news, which is not actually a direct solution, but maybe a solution for the so-called minor cases. So for sure, we can try by using this precedent, so this new precedent, to solve the so-called minor issues, so the so-called minor cases. So do not lose any more time and let's start. So today I'm pretty excited to do this video, because in the last video we talked about the roadblocks for Italian citizenship by descent, and we talked a little bit about this new precedent, this new decision, this new verdict made by the so-called Court of Cassazione. The decision, which is the decision 17161 of the July 2023, so it's really fresh a decision, a really fresh precedent. There is a big issue. There is a big issue because they said there is a strict interpretation about the so-called minor cases. So basically, when you have an Italian ancestor who naturalized and the child of this Italian ancestor was still a minor, well, also the minor was affected by the naturalization of the Italian ancestor, which is a really new way to make an interpretation of the law, because it's really, it's new, because always when you file an application for Italian citizenship by descent, all the consulate, let's think about the consulate, all the consulate applied not this ruling, not this interpretation, but it's a common rule that you can be eligible for Italian citizenship by descent when you have a child who was born from an Italian ancestor. So it doesn't matter if the Italian ancestor later naturalized or not. What is important is the moment of the birth. So this is the moment when the right was passed to the next in line. And so when we heard about this decision from the Court of Cassazione decision, well, this is really pretty surprising, because it's 30 years that all the authorities, all the Italian consulate, all authorities involved in the process of deciding or approving cases for Italian citizenship by descent, they always applied the basic rule, the basic principle, which is a principle also set by the ministry itself. So this is not it's a general interpretation, and for sure the correct interpretation. So the minor cases actually are a problem. But there is a potential good news. There is a potential good news because very recently in July, in the same month, in July, there is another court, which is the Court of Venice, the immigration court in Venice, who made a really interesting decision. And this decision can be a game changer, can be a solution for solving the minor cases. So what happened in that case? What happened with the Court of Venice? What's the case and what happened in terms of decision? So what the judge said about this case and why it's so important to potentially solving the minor case. So in that case, we have the typical situation where we have the applicant who had an Italian heritage starting from the grandfather, father, and the applicant himself. And there is the problem, the well-known problem of lack of appointment with the Italian consulate. So as you maybe heard about these other videos that we posted, you can also check the other videos about this argument. When you have a lack of appointment, you face the lack of appointment with your local Italian consulate, so you are unable to file your petition through the consulate, you can file your petition through an Italian immigration attorney with an immigration court in Italy by claiming your right of citizenship because of denial of justice, so because of this lack of appointment. So this is what happened in that case, which was filed in Venice because the Italian ancestor was living into the jurisdiction of the immigration court in Venice. So the judge, what the judge said, what happened in that case? In that case, there was a minor case. So there was a great-grandfather who naturalized when the next in line, the grandfather, was still a minor. What happened? This is really interesting. It happens that by the general interpretation, the judge says, yes, okay, I see you are eligible, you have your all documents, birth certificate, marriage certificate, that's, I mean, all the documents proving your Italian heritage, and you have an Italian great-grandfather who had a child when the child was still a minor. The judge says that, potentially speaking, the case can be eligible, but what is really important is that the great-grandfather married an American woman, so married a US citizen. And what happened in that moment? In that moment, with the act of marriage, the rights of Italian citizenship was transferred also to the wife in the moment of the marriage. And what is really important, also the judge says that the right of citizenship was passed to the wife without any formalities. So there is no need to make a formality. There is no need to register your marriage in Italy. So from the moment your great-grandfather ended the marriage, so they exit the church, so the marriage was ended. In that moment, the right of citizenship was passed to the wife. And why is important for the minor cases? Because also if you face a minor case, you can potentially say, if a judge will say to you, I want to apply the interpretation of the minor case, you can say, if I can say that the minor was affected by the naturalization of the Italian ancestor, but there is another Italian ancestor potentially, so the spouse, because before the birth of the child, the Italian ancestor and spouse were married. So basically the right of citizenship was passed also to the spouse. So if you cannot claim your Italian citizenship by descent because of the minor case starting from the original Italian ancestor, you can claim it starting from the other spouse who got the right of citizenship not by descent, by Iure Matrimonii, so by communication because of marriage. So that's important, and potentially it can solve the minor cases. Of course, this can be applicable, pay attention, what happened in that case. It can be applicable if you have one Italian ancestor, so the other spouse is not an Italian too, but it's American, for example. So they pass the rights of citizenship by marriage. So for example, if you have two Italian ancestors, so both of them were Italians, they married and then they naturalized, this cannot be used, as a solution. But this type of situation, we can use another path, we can use another strategy to make your case eligible if the judge will recognize the minor case, because as we said, we have this roadblock, which is a big issue. It's a big issue, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that your cases will be automatically denied, but there is potentially another solution if you have one Italian ancestor who married for example, an American woman. Just an example. So, this can be a solution, and that's very important. That's very important when we check your eligibility to have your, at least, as best you can, to collect all the information, the relevant information, because, it's very important to also evaluate this other option, which is really recent because it's a decision from July 2023, which is a really fresh decision. That can be a solver, can be a solution of if you face, in some cases, if you face the minor case. As always, thank you for your time. If you have questions, if there's something you want to ask, some comment you want to leave, you can leave below the video. You can leave some comments. We cannot do As we always say, we cannot do legal consultation here, online or social media, so if you want to leave a comment but it's a complicated decision, you need to contact us through the contact form on the website, or better, you need to book a consultation call so we can talk about your case, your eligibility, the strategy for your case, how to proceed, if we can proceed. So we can evaluate, if there are potential roadblocks for your case, how we can proceed. So we can do a really tailored consultation on your case. So as always, thank you so much for your time, and see you on next videos.